The principles of the human rights-based approach.
The Human Rights Center Uganda, the African Center for Treatment and Rehabilitation of Torture Victims, in partnership with the Uganda Human Rights Commission, have had a two-day roundtable meeting to discuss the human rights situation in Uganda. The human rights defenders have commended government for introducing virtual courts to address the challenge of case backlog and to enhance transparency and access to justice. The defenders have also witnessed an increase in public awareness about their rights.
Ultimately, our common interest is to strengthen human rights protection systems and structures to promote social justice and equality.
However, the activists have noted with concern some emerging issues of human rights violations, including the trial of civilians in military courts. Further infringements have been noted during the most recent arrests of protesters.
Human Rights Center Uganda and its partners remain extremely concerned with the reported forms of human rights violations and abuses in the country. Law enforcement should consider the application of human rights-based approach in the implementation or enforcement of all available laws.
However, the activists acknowledge the difficulty of sometimes drawing a line between allowing free expression of human rights and the obligation of the security organs to keep law and order. Dr. John Kamya, who represented police in the discussions, highlighted that the rights must be expressed within the confines of the law.
They must be regulated. They are not, the freedom of expression is not absolute. It can be regulated. And the regulation is contained within the law, the Public Order Management Act. For example, in this case, the demonstrators were supposed to notify the police of their demonstration, the dates, the time, the routes, but the police did not get any of these notifications.
Police also insists that the actions of the law enforcers are always informed by background intelligence information, which an ordinary person may not know.
Intelligence that the state agencies had was that these demonstrations were not innocent. They're not innocent, there were motives behind. So police took action basing on intelligence that the members of the public may not be privy to. So I want to assure you that the actions that the police took were in the best interest of the wider public to protect the rights of those who were not interested in participating in the demonstrations.
The public also condemned the manner in which some arrests were made and raised the question of whether some arrests should be done with gender sensitivity.
It's not illegal for a man or a male officer to arrest a female officer. It's only a good practice. But in a situation where there is no female officer around or the female officers are not adequate, male officers can actually always arrest female suspects, but hand over to the females when they reach the station.
Commissioner Lameck Somara Peter, who represented the chairperson of the Uganda Human Rights Commission, expressed that the body is currently investigating the recent violations that have been reported from the protests.
As a non-government organization, the African Center for Treatment and Rehabilitation of Torture Victims, we first have to obtain permission to enter the prisons. From the past experience, we get a court order by a judge, and then we go into the prisons, and then we carry out investigations.
The Uganda Human Rights Commission, we have the mandate to visit the prisons. And I will only say now that the Commission is interested in reported cases of violations. And even as I speak, the Commission has visited some police stations within the Central Business District of Kampala in following up on some of these cases.
Patrick Senyondo, NTV.